Active-passive insufficiency. Active-passive insufficiency is applicable to the muscles that crosses more than one joint. Here are some examples: hamstrings, quadriceps, gastrocnemius, wrist and finger flexors, biceps, triceps, etc. So what is active insufficiency? When a two-jointed muscle contracts at one end, it cannot exert enough force to achieve full range of motion at the other joint. This is referred to as active insufficiency. So in simple words, the muscle can't do two things at the same time effectively. Let's see this example here. Wrist flexors works to flex the wrist and the finger joints. Now when they are contracting at the wrist joint to achieve full wrist flexion, it cannot contract efficiently to complete full finger flexion at the same time. So when you try and bend your wrist, you will see that the fingers goes into slight extension. This is referred to as active insufficiency of the wrist flexors. Passive insufficiency. When a two-jointed muscle is stretched or lengthened at one joint, it would limit the muscle's ability to lengthen completely at the other joints. This is referred to as passive insufficiency of the muscle. Let's see the example here. When you extend the wrist joint, wrist flexors are getting stretched or lengthened at the joint. This would limit their ability to get stretched at the fingers at the same time, resulting in passive finger flexion. They get passively insufficient at the finger joints. Here is another example. When doing straight leg raise, hip flexors contract to bend the hip joint. Rectus femoris works to flex the hip joint and extend the knee joint. So when it's contracting at the hip joint to achieve full hip flexion, it cannot contract sufficiently to achieve full knee extension at the same time. So that is referred to as active insufficiency of rectus femoris to extend the knee joint. When hip flexors are contracting, hip extensors get stretched or lengthened. In this scenario, hamstrings are getting stretched or lengthened at the hip joint. This would result in passive insufficiency of the hamstrings at the knee joint. The hamstring would then contract at the knee joint, resulting in knee flexion. This is referred to as passive insufficiency of hamstrings and active insufficiency of rectus femoris at the knee joint. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.